So far in the Springfield Mile, we've had 9 lead changes amongst 3 different riders, and Scott, 3 different brands of motorcycles. Kawasaki, Ducati, and Harley-Davidson, but it's the Cowie that's dominated the day so far as leading the most laps.
Yeah, so far so good for the Cowie team, and but like I said, it's anybody's game. I mean, it's so close. They're so closely matched.
And now the Ducati dropping back a little bit, as Johnson's going to drop back to 4th, and Mies is going to get around him.
You know, just a little bit of a slip in the middle of the corner or trying to come off the corner creates that little bit of a gap that you see between the 2 and the 9, and it doesn't take him long to reel it back in. That's how well the draft works. Pulls him back in down the straightaway. If he can keep it clean through this corner right here, he'll be right back in contention with him. Nicely done by 9, Jared Mies.
You pointed out earlier how low, as we reach the halfway point, that Brian Smith is able to get on that motorcycle. And as we said, with no windscreen, no real aerodynamic aids at the front of the machine, is pretty much the number plate, the only thing blocking you from the wind. As low as you can get, the better. And he really seems to be able to tuck down into the paint.
He does. We looked at that bike a little bit, and it looks like the tank's lowered and sunk down in between the frame. It looks like it allows him to get a little bit lower. He's a small guy anyway. Whatever he's doing, it's working. He needs to stay with that program.
Now he's got a pair of Harleys right on his tail. And Coolbeth has been with him all afternoon. They ran that way through their heat races. And boy, that looks like, oh, 1 rider down going into turn number 1.
You know, when you watch 42 of Smith, he's keeping a low line. They got a red flag, obviously.
That's because the rider down in turn number 1 there goes Baker. He goes by. Oh, it's 2 riders that went. Oh, no, it's Baker stopped just to check on Steve Bonsi, who was the rider that went down. He was up in that pack near the front. So Baker checking on his buddy to see how he's doing. Bonsi was 5th in the points, tied with Bauman coming into today's race.
He looks like he's got a little limp to him right there. I mean, anytime you jump off a motorcycle at that speed, you're going to have a little limp. He's doing a good job to get back on it, and you can see the 1 right there, Brad Baker, getting bump started as well.
Something must have happened to the 2 of them going into the corner. That's probably why Baker wanted to stop to see how he was doing. Cheers from the crowd as Bonsi makes his way back to the pits. Steven Zanotti racing Harley-Davidson.
Well, I suspect you're going to see the 80 lining up on the back of the grid now. Typically, when you start to cause a red flag, you go to the back of the pack.
They'll get him refired, and we'll be back to restart the Springfield Mile. Since 1934, National Speed Sport News has been America's motorsports authority. Every month, Speed Sport Magazine comes alive with stunning photography, insightful commentary, and in-depth features. You will get the full story with Speed Sport Magazine. To start your home delivery of America's motorsports authority, log on to nationalspeedsportnews.com and hit the big yellow subscribe button. Be the fan in the know. Just go to nationalspeedsportnews.com and click subscribe.